Aloha, what's up everyone? I'm JayDreamerZ. Welcome to my channel. So today I'm gonna be responding to a video that I saw by a YouTuber that I like, that I am actually subscribed to. It's just that I have a different perspective on a particular topic, and that is the Georgia Guidestones. Now, I'm a little nervous. I also know that there's various opinions, lots of heated emotions and stuff that people have about this particular topic, especially because of its connection to secret societies and stuff. So before we begin, I want to make it very clear, I like this channel. So this is not me slamming the channel or anything. I highly recommend going and subscribing and check out his videos and stuff. And yeah, so I just want to make that very clear. After this video, I'm going to be doing another video to talk about moderators and stuff like that, and kind of how like I need a little help just to keep the house clean, you know, and keep out all the bad vibes and stuff. And if you're a moderator in their chat, feel free to use it, do what you got to do, and you know, we'll talk more about that in the next video. But for right now, we're gonna talk about. Let me rewind this video here. All right, so I have edited his video, by the way. So that's mostly to avoid a copyright strike. However, it does fall under fair use because I am commenting, and I'm commenting on his video, and so I need his video up in order to actually respond and make comments to it. So it does fall under fair use. Hopefully he's okay with that and there's no hard feelings anywhere. So I do see everybody in the chat. Glad to see everyone back. Good to see you all. Let's see. Let me get it so that I can put the chat on the screen, which I like to do. I like to get everybody involved if I can. All right, here we go. We're putting the chat on the screen right now. And paste. Boom. All right, cool. So let's start. Let's start things off. First, let me recap my videos, okay? So the Georgia Guidestones have been destroyed. If you don't know what those are, you'll have to do a quick Google search and find out. But we'll talk about them enough so that you get the gist of it. The Guidestones were destroyed, and it seems to me like half the truther community or open-minded community or whatever, you know, whatever label you'd like to put onto those who are looking for alternative perspectives and truth. So many people are applauding and clapping and excited, and, you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that have a lot of negative things to say too. So here on my channel, I like to talk about the positive side. I like to balance things out using reason and creativity, right? So that's what we're going to try to do today. What's up, everybody? Hey, what's up, Jen? Jen Cardno says, JayDreamerZ, I loved your last video on this topic. Right on. Thank you. All right, sweet. So let's kick things off and see. This is Jimmy from Bright Insight, and this is his video, which has been remastered, I guess you can say by myself. Let's see what he says.
Some people will say that these stones are benign. Come on, this is just something that some rich guy did in the event that there was some cataclysmic event.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop it often and actually respond to many things that are being said. So yes, I'm one of those people that is basically saying that the stones are benign. What does benign mean? It means that they're not harmful, right? They're not actively causing any kind of harm. They're just rocks that have words written on them, right? And they're in the middle of nowhere as well. It's not like they put this in Grand Central Station or some popular place where everyone's going to see them. So he is talking about people like myself that hold the belief that I'm not convinced that there is any malintent here. I'm not saying that I agree completely with everything that the Guidestones are saying. I'm just saying I have a different theory and a different perspective about it.
This is a guidance on how humanity should proceed forward for the best wishes of not just mankind, but planet Earth itself. Well,
yes. Okay. So in short, the Guidestones are a list of suggestions, commands, laws, however you'd like to see it, that if taken within the context of today's time, in the present time, the very first one says to maintain humanity under 500 million. right? So a lot of people think, well, there's more than 500 million. So they jump to the conclusion immediately that whoever put these Guidestones up is saying and authorizing the murdering of most of the world's population. I see it differently.
Let me say this. Anything that involves a plan for all of humanity that's done in secrecy is not for your benefit.
Okay, now let's talk about that. I like this one, okay? I've heard this so many times. And remember, I like Jimmy and I like his channel. So please don't get it twisted. Don't think that, this is some hit piece or hateful video. I wanted to use his video because he covers every single perspective from kind of what I see, like, at least when it comes to this topic, like mainstream conspiracy theorists. It's very easy to jump on the bandwagon and point the finger at the invisible bad guys, right? And I'm not saying there are no bad guys. There are bad guys in our world, but I believe in balance. There's a good side, a neutral, and a bad side to everything, right? Including the Illuminati, including Rosicrucians, including all the secret societies. Now, what he just said, actually, let me see if he says something more.
If these stones were benign and a good thing, there would be no secrecy.
Ah, yes. Okay. So there would be no secrecy. Now, I've heard that argument from a lot of people, right? And this is not for me to argue at all. This is not debating or anything. I'm just sharing my perspective, right? And I'm responding to another person's perspective, which is cool. And I super respect that. The concept, there are many people who believe that because they don't have the knowledge that someone else has and it's being kept from them, or there's a secret being kept from them, that automatically that designates whoever is keeping that secret as evil and, even worse, immoral. If there is a difference between the two, I don't know, whatever. All I'm saying is that we jump to those conclusions that, oh, I don't know what they know, so they must be immoral, they must be evil, they must be bad, it must be bad for me. There are millions of different examples of people keeping secrets where it's good and where people don't argue. You know what I mean? Let me give you an example. Let's say that you have a family reunion, right? Let's say you have a family reunion, huge, hundreds of people there. And at some point during that family reunion, many of the adults come to the children who are outside playing and they say, hey, we're going to go have a grown-up meeting. You guys are not allowed to be in there. Don't come in and don't listen to our meeting. And then the kids are like, okay. And then the grown-ups go and they go into a room and lock the door and they start talking about the children. So the children are outside and some of the kids are like, I wonder what the grown-ups are talking about. And one kid jumps to the conclusion that because there's some sort of a secret, that the grown-ups have something bad planned for them, right? Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be terrible. Maybe they're planning on selling us all off on the black market. Maybe they're going to kill us. Who knows, right? A lot of speculation, a lot of jumping to conclusions and guessing. When in reality, the grown-ups were planning possibly a surprise birthday party for one of the children. That's just one example of how not all things that are secret mean and imply that there's something nefarious happening, right? And you could apply that to animals, right? I think it's kind of hypocritical of humanity to say things along these lines about secret societies and people keeping secrets and stuff, and just automatically assuming that it's negative and it's nefarious, right? When we don't do that, we don't apply that same logic to ourselves when it comes to how we treat, for example, like animals, right? We get together, we talk about the animals or whatever. That's just an example. All right, let's move on.
Now, speaking of secrets, here's something else we don't know, which is what is in the buried time capsule that's 6 feet under this monument. That's right. I don't know if they're going to exhume this thing or not.
Okay, now he makes a really good point here about what's in the time capsule, right? I think we're all pretty curious. However, does our curiosity equate to our right to find out what's in that capsule? I mean, what's in that time capsule that's buried on, like, private property or whatever? It's not ours, basically.
But I and the rest of the world should be able to see what this is.
Should we? Really? I know we want to, right? I want to know what's inside the time capsule. I've got all kinds of theories and ideas, but just because I don't know, does that entitle me to knowing? You know what I mean? Is that a pre-qualifying factor? Is that I don't know? So, oh, you didn't know here. Now you know, right? No, it's private. Like it was buried underground and it's somebody else's stuff. Now, on the other hand, because it was buried underground, I believe that it's open to anyone, whoever wants to go dig it up. That's just me, because I live by the law of the land, and I believe in the law of the land.
Because it can be very telling. It could lead to answers on who did this in the first place, or, God, who knows what else.
I agree. If we were able to pull up the time capsule, and we'd probably get a lot of questions answered, especially if there's a letter in there that says, "Dear survivors of the apocalyptic event," you know what I mean? And then it starts talking to everybody, because that's where I'm coming from. I should probably start with that, right? So I believe that the Guidestones are left not to us in the present day. I believe that it's a message to those who are left behind, to those who are survivors of an apocalyptic event. We'll get more into that.
All I know is that I want to know what's in this, and everyone should get behind two things here, which is identifying who created this in the first place and what's in that damn time capsule.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's curiosity, and that's okay. It's okay to be curious. It's okay to say, hey, let's find out what it is. I support that. Go find out. Don't go dig it up if that's your thing or whatever.
Now,
I don't know if that's legal.
Many people refer to this as the New World Order monument, or a monument for globalism.
Okay, so let's talk about that. A lot of people, many people, it's funny. I have so many like really good comments and stuff on all my other theories and ideas, but this one struck a nerve with a lot of people, because I don't believe in one Illuminati. I believe in two. I believe that there are balanced sides to everything, just like you have the Sith in Star Wars balanced by the Jedis, right? This would be like if we only acknowledged the Sith existing in the Star Wars universe, right? Only the bad guys. And only a secret group of bad guys too. Like the Avengers, like they're not on the news like, all right, world, here's our plans to protect everyone. Like the Avengers don't do that either, right? But sometimes the Avengers are seen as the bad guys too, and for similar reasons. So yeah, this is called a monument for globalism. Now there's some words in here that I'm not super familiar with. I don't use quite often because I'm not a political kind of a person. So I had to look up globalism. It has the word globe in it, which I'm not a big fan of, and that's totally okay. That's just my perspective and descriptions on, cosmology and whatnot. However, globalism is, if I understand it and remember it correctly, something akin to like the world's population as far as their like economics and policies, I guess. I'm probably wrong. I don't know. But them all being kind of regulated on a worldwide scale, something along those lines, right? And I could see where that might be appropriate. And I could also see where it could be abused, right? I could see both sides of that. So I understand, especially if people don't know the context. They don't know the meaning. Nobody came out and said, hey, here's why we put these up, which helps to sort of justify my position so far, which is that they're not meant for us. So we weren't told, right? All right, let's keep on going. And
it surely is, because this thing favored a one-world government. It favored Marxism, i.e. societal mandates.
Oh, Marxism too. First of all, he says that it favors a one-world government. I don't like the word government because it means mind control. I don't believe that that's what these stones are referring to. I don't believe that they're referring to controlling other people's minds. I have lots of various beliefs on what happens during the apocalypse, how the apocalypse happens, how it affects us, and what life in the post-apocalyptic world will be like. I've written a book all about it called Ancient Oblivion, the Plasma Apocalypse, and my channel is, pretty much dedicated to the subject. I talk about it all of the time. So I realize not everyone knows what my ideas on the apocalypse are. However, I will tell you one part of it is that the world goes through alternating transitions from one extreme to another. So for example, right now, language, right? We all have these broken apart different languages. It's hard for us to communicate with one another internationally because of the language barrier. That's got flavor to it. That can be a fun thing. I like it. However, I believe that it's going to transition back into a pure form of language, which is telepathy. When you introduce telepathy into the entire world, all of these concepts that we associate with the modern age and how they work in this age become polluted by our own experience with them. So let me give you an example. the court systems. Like I'm not a fan of the court system whatsoever, as it stands, as it is right now. I'm not about it, right? Does that mean that I cannot conceive of fair courts and stuff like that in the future that totally work differently, ways that I might not know about? Yes, I can afford to make room for that. I'm not saying that there is. I'm just saying I'm open-minded enough to say that I believe that it's possible for there to exist such a thing as fair
Control over
courts.
the individual. It favored eugenics.
Oh, he also said something here I want to also respond to.
It favored Marxism.
Marxism. Okay, I had no idea what Marxism was. I couldn't stand those types of classes in high school, economics and social history or whatever. What was it? Social studies and all that stuff. I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like it. I understood it. I got it. I got A's and I passed all the tests, but I just memorized the answers that they told me were correct. They told me this is how your history is. They told me this is what your world is like, and I had to repeat their answers in order to pass, right? So I get it. I get what the mainstream says. Marxism is right along the lines, and I'm just going to all the individuals contributing to the greater good. That's just me summing it up. And I could see how that, as well as other philosophies and governments and ideas and laws and stuff, could be manipulated, and it could be changed into something that it's not good, right? Which I believe that happens every cycle. I'm sure that will happen again on the next cycle after this one. I'm sure that these things repeat themselves.
Societal mandates and control over the individual.
Oh, control over the individual. I don't believe that that the stones are controlling individuals, or that they're even recommending that individuals be controlled by others. However, when I read the like the commands or whatever you want to call them on the Georgia Guidestones, I see them telling individuals to control themselves, to be controlled, right? For example, one thing is overpopulation or making babies or whatever. And he's going to make that point too about how we should all be able, we should all have the right to like go make babies or whatever. So it depends, right? It depends on many different things. Let me give you an example. Let's pretend, and this is just totally off on the side, but let's pretend, hold on, let me get, this is too bright for me. All right, so let's pretend that our entire world, or let's just make it up. There's a world out there that's just one room, just a small room, probably the size of whatever room you're in right now. And it only can hold like 50 people or whatever, right? And everyone lives in that room. It's destined, it's bound to happen that having babies and adding more people into a confined room is going to be brought up, and it's going to be talked about. You know what I mean? Now, am I saying that the world's so populated that we're all banging into each other and stuff? No, I'm not. But I will address that.
Eugenics, like what the like?
Oh, and eugenics too. I was unfamiliar with that one, but basically, it is the idea that we as humanity can manipulate the genes of those who are not born yet, so that they come out with desirable traits. And like I said, I could totally see both sides of it, right? I know people that are like, oh, that'd be cool if, if I was born with a tail, or, horns, or, whatever, like nicer teeth or whatever. So there's one side of it. And there's the extreme other side, which is that people are trying to like, change the entire population to make it whatever is likable to them, basically, which can get pretty extreme.
Serious? The stuff that Nazis were into, like control.
I don't know why he whispers the word Nazi right there. I don't know if we get flagged for that or something, or if it's just like such a taboo topic. Like, man, I don't know. I've been hesitant to talk about that particular one because history is all messed up and it's upside down. Our whole world's upside down and messed up. So I am second guessing a lot of things that I was taught by mainstream academics as far as how history went down and who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. And I'm not saying anyone is a good guy or a bad guy. I'm just saying I believe in my life it deserves consideration and independent research.
Controlling who breeds and stuff like that. Like, that's not a good thing ever. It's so wrong on so many levels, but let me just keep going for a second. Because
okay, so I'm going to let him keep going. Let me jump in the chat real quick. Let's see. Seeking Yeshua is in the chat and says, my concern is, for example, For example, would passion, faith, religion, etc. be ruled by someone like Hitler or someone like Jesus if they were the ones ruling? Okay, good. Well, how about what if we ruled ourselves? You see, that's the kind of mindset that I'm talking about. In this world, under these conditions, we can't even conceive of ruling ourselves. Even in the post-apocalypse, when we imagine it, we're talking about, well, who's going to rule over us? Who's going to be the king? Who deserves to be the king? You deserve to be the king or queen or whatever. That's what I'm saying. All right, let me jump back into the video here.
It even favored a mass depopulation.
No. Time out. I'm not saying, okay, no, this is where I totally disagree. Guidestones favor massive depopulation, right? Let me just make sure we're still streaming. Okay, good. We got a little glitch. I don't believe that the Guidestones favor worldwide depopulation, right? I don't believe that that's basically, he's trying to say that that's what the Guidestones are insinuating is you all need to, die, essentially, right? I believe that the Guidestones were established as a message to post-apocalyptic survivors where Mother Nature herself wipes out most of mankind. These secret societies understand, and I'm just going to say, I believe that the secret of the secret societies is a cyclical cataclysm. It's been all but wiped from our memories. Nobody wants to talk about it. Anytime they do, we've been conditioned to point and become naysayers and say doom and gloom and make it look like the person's a horrible tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, when the reality is there's more evidence for a cyclical cataclysm than for anything else that I've ever studied so far. That's just me personally. So I believe that that's their secret.
Of planet Earth. Now let me be clear.
I forgot what he said. I'm gonna
stuff like that. Like that's not a good thing ever. It's so wrong on so many levels. But let me just keep going. And favored means and stuff like that. Like that's not a good thing ever. It's so wrong on so many levels. But let me just keep going for a second.
Okay. I didn't hear what he said there.
Favored a mass depopulation.
Yes, depopulation, right? So I don't believe that it's saying that the population today needs to be reduced. Otherwise, it would say reduce the population. You know what I mean? And it doesn't say that. It says maintain it, which means it's already there. They're speaking to a world where the population is already under 500 million people, right? It's hard for many of us to conceive of that, especially because we don't have a lot of information about apocalyptic events that happen that wipe out humanity. So I understand the other side of it. I really do. If you're one of the people that thinks that, that this is saying that the world should be depopulated now, today, and that somebody's got to do it or whatever, I get where you would see that. I do. But what I'm asking is hold on to that thought for a minute and then consider what I'm offering, which is these are not meant for you. These are not meant for us in this age, but they're meant for the survivors.
Of planet Earth. Now let me be clear. These stones were built in the context of post-cataclysm and saying, hey, maintain the whole population of the world to 500 million.
Right.
But right now we're at nearly 7.9 billion.
Yes, this is where most people chime in. And that's the other thing too. The first, the major problem is with that first one that says maintain the population under 500 million or whatever. And then everyone thinks we've got more than that. Oh my God. Oh, how is it going to get reduced? And they think about it according to the modern norms, right? According to our social norms, talking about the world as we know it coming to an end is not a social norm in this world. It's fiction. It's fantasy. It's fantastic. And it's too fantastic for most people to believe. So now it has fallen under the realm of conspiracy, myth, legend, fairy tales, fiction, all of that stuff. Sci-fi.
Which means that would be a reduction of nearly 94% of the population that's alive today. In fact, that would be 15 out of 16 people ceasing to exist.
It would be. I totally agree. If it's referring to the population of the world today, and I could be mistaken in the way I'm perceiving those words, okay? Totally could be mistaken, but that's how I see it so far. I'm not convinced otherwise yet. So yeah, if it's talking about, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, or I'll give him and everyone else the benefit of the doubt. If it's talking about and referencing, hey, today's population needs to be reduced to under this number, then yeah, I'm gonna throw out the apocalyptic Mother Nature scenario. I'm gonna say, okay, well, how else could that happen, right? And mankind is probably going to be number one on my list. So I would consider that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to throw out the baby with the bathwater and get rid of the apocalypse, which has a way better track record of annihilating entire civilizations than does mankind, at least population-wise, right?
You know, a lot of people are talking right now about depopulation, that there's too many people on planet Earth and everything else, and we're destroying it.
Okay, so sweet. I'm going to talk about that too. I think there's too many people on planet Earth, right? Does that mean I'm going to go do something about it or whatever? No, it doesn't, right? I accept that this is our world. This is the time that I've grown up in. There's a lot of things about this world that I don't really like, but I acquiesce. I submit. I say, okay, that's the way things are. Let me not push against the grain. Instead, I'm patient, waiting for Mother Nature to work it all out, right? All right, so is the world overpopulated? Not in the sense that there's not enough room for us. I believe there's plenty of room for everybody to spread out. We're not spread out because they have us living in little cities and little towns and little groups and countries, and they put up all these borders where you could drive from one state in the United States to another state and go past like miles upon miles of good land. But it's all fenced off. You know what I mean? Rich people own it for their cows, or they don't use it for anything. It's just the government saying, don't build right here. You know what I mean? So, you know, the population's large in that, if you look at it like that, you know what I mean? Living in the cities and stuff. I don't support that. I support living wherever you want to. I don't support the earth belonging to any individual or group or anybody. I support you are where you are. And you do what you want to do with where you are. And other people will react the way they want to with where they are or whatever. That's what I support.
But I'm sorry. I don't know what the number might be that would be best for humans on Earth.
Oh, under 300 million is the number that would be best. At least according to the Georgia Guidestones. I'm kind of joking, but I'm also kind of not. I don't know what that number is, but I do believe that there is a number for humanity that is critical mass. I believe we are linked to these apocalyptic events. And I believe that the population getting bigger and bigger and bigger and the downfall of the moral standard is definitely linked. It could be energy. It could be physical space. I mean, think about this. If the world is a closed system and nothing can escape it, which is what I believe so far. I mean, I know we live in a closed system. We have to in order to have pressure in our world to create weather and pressure systems and stuff. But that's me. That's how I see it, right? I could totally be wrong on everything. But if we live in a closed system, it's pressurized. We have weather, which is evidence that our system, our world that we live in, is pressurized. If we continue to put more things into that container, the pressurized container called the world that we live in, if we continue to add to it and put more and more and more and more, the pressure is going to build and build and build and build. And eventually there's going to be a pressure release, which is what I believe kicks off the plasma apocalypse.
But to suggest that that it should be reduced by 94% seems extreme to me.
Very good. Once again, the Guidestones don't say reduced. The Guidestones say maintain, which is night and day difference to myself, because I'm very interested in words, etymology. Many of you know, I like words. Let's keep going.
But let me keep going.
Yes.
This thing, in fact, let me just read off real quick all 10 of them. Okay, so
I'm not going to actually read off all 10 of them. Some of them he agrees with. Some of them he's like, okay, that's fair, no problem. Which I hear from a lot of people too. It's weird. It's weird to me that like they would include so many useful tips, but then they throw in on the very top, like the worst one of all, which is misinterpreted to mean that genocide is okay, basically, and it's not.
Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Okay. Guide reproduction
I'm gonna skip this
wisely,
part.
Improving
Hold
fitness.
up. All right, I'm just going to skip forward to where he comes back.
I think that one of the problems in the world is that we don't speak the same language and we don't understand
the language thing.
I see the same thing with the whole Russian.
Okay, so the language thing, I've kind of touched on that already, so we're going to move past that. I believe telepathy is the original language and that we're going to return. Conditions in our world will change, allowing for telepathic communication once more.
Thing today, it's like, guys, the Russians are our friends.
I agree. I mean, I have zero problems with Russia, China, any of those other countries out there that the world and the news wants all of you to be so, sports minded about, like, oh, go team USA or whatever, boo Russia. Like, I mean, I grew up watching Rocky 4 and stuff like that, where Rocky fights the Russian, and at the end he's like, if I can change and you can change, and everyone's all like cheering Rocky on at the end. I like that. I'm that kind of a person, right? I have zero problems with anybody that lives in like any other country unless they have personally like done something towards me or whatever, right? But I'm not a huge political person.
Have you ever known Russians? They're cool. And
yeah.
The only reason why we have nothing...
Every Russian I've ever met has been pretty cool, actually. So I hung out with some Russians one time, and they taught me Tvoyi glosa это волшебство, which was pretty cool.
Nothing in common and no connection is because our languages are so vastly different. But I digress.
I agree. I agree. Oh, and he's also going to say that, you know, having different languages can be a beautiful thing, which I also agree with.
Let me actually just say that multiple languages are a good thing. It's one thing that makes the human, not just some
right.
What's the word?
Oh, let me back it up.
See, that's the thing. That's where, God, that sounds wonderful.
What do you say?
6, let all nations
Oh, he's still doing those, okay.
No. That is Marxism.
What? Okay, time out. Like, first of all, I have read the definition. Let me read the definition of whatever Marxism is. Let me pull this up here. We're getting pretty political for me, but that's fine. Marxism definition. Boom. It says the political and economic theories of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, later developed by their followers to be the basis for the theory and practice of communism, which in our present world, I believe that that's still kind of a taboo word, you know, that's bad. And I don't study a lot of political stuff, but I am the kind of first of all, I'm a law of the land person. So I believe in the individual rights to do whatever you want to do. I also believe that in the post-apocalyptic world, there's a better quality of people because of the energy. There's a better quality of energy, which reflects in nature, which reflects in the people and humanity and stuff, right? So I believe that if the people are truly free, they will govern themselves. They will rule over themselves individually, and they will do right by one another. That's me being hopeful. That's also, you know, ties into some of my research, which I share on my channel. All right, let's keep going.
I mean, it sounds so nice. Balance personal rights with social duties. Okay, you know, hey, for a community and a society,
yes,
we gotta, you know, come together.
Now, here's another problem. I just want to throw this out there because we're using trigger words today, which is almost unavoidable in this particular situation, and that's okay. When talking about communism or communities and contributing to the greater good and stuff, of course, that can be taken, that somebody can use that to their own gain, just like they can anything, any system of beliefs, any type of ruling or laws or all of that stuff. That's why I say you should rule yourself and we should rule ourselves. I'm not the type of person to cherry pick, you know, when I'm going to support somebody else taking care of me versus me taking care of myself. I'm always going to support taking care of ourselves, right? What was he talking about? Oh, communism. Let me rewind it a little bit.
No.
Yeah,
that is Marxism. That is I mean, it sounds so...
Okay, so all of us having everything together in common, basically. Let me make my point real quick on this. I support that. I support everybody sharing. I support everybody, you know, I support there not being like, you know, this person is over this person and the pyramid system and all that stuff. I support all of us living on an equal playing field while respecting our differences. Those differences are all over the place. And sometimes they are like, hey, Susie's better at baking bread, so I'm going to go to Susie and barter, you know, some work on her fence or whatever. I support that. I hope I did a good job of explaining that. I don't support any of the extreme bad versions of any philosophy or government or any of that stuff. On both sides. I don't support it on both sides. I believe in neutrality. That's the path that I believe is the way.
Nice. Balance personal rights with social duties. Okay, you know, hey, for a community and a society, we gotta, you know, come together and do things.
Right. It's not that you got to. It's that you want to. You see what I mean? It's that you see others as an extension of yourself, and so it becomes your natural inclination to help out where you can. I mean, that's how I see that.
You know, as one, there's some truth to that, but then there's this fine line where it becomes Marxism, which is communism.
Okay, so do you hear the inflection on those words? I don't know him yet. I would love to hang out with him and chat. But those are clearly words that he is not liking and associating with some other, his own research and studies and beliefs and things like that. So
And
I respect,
that is not a
I
good
respect
thing
that.
historically.
That's not a good thing. That's an opinion. Okay. Now, whatever your opinion is, if you agree with it or you don't agree with it, it is still an opinion. Good and bad is an opinion, and it's polarity basically, which is fine. Totally fine with me. If you want to be polarized and live that way, that's totally fine.
At all whatsoever. Who am I? Case in point, the Maoists in China, the Soviets of Russia.
Okay, so he's listing all the different countries, and this is one reason why we have such good like Indiana Jones movies, because they take it back. Indiana Jones is always fighting the Nazis, and Nazis are all bad and stuff like that. Just like the Illuminati, just like the Rosicrucians, just like the Freemasons, right? All of those are secret societies, allegedly. They're not. I mean, I don't even know why they're called that. They're not secret societies. They're societies that have a secret, at least a secret, right? And that deems them evil to many people.
Old plot in Cambodia. Oh, wait, what was it? Oh my God, I forgot this whole Hitler thing that went on.
Oh yeah, all of that too. I research alternatively with an open mind, and I have washed out all of the teachings that the schools and mainstream academics have given me in regards to who the current world controllers point at and say, that's the bad guy. Those are all the bad guys, right? As if the United States or the world at large is free from propaganda, which they're not.
But never mind that. That's old news, right? Guys, when you have the
government... I just want to say, to me, the world we live in is just as bad as whatever the world would have been like if Hitler had won the war or whatever, right? I don't think the world is a very sweet place. I don't enjoy the vibe. I don't enjoy. There's a lot of negativity in the world, and it's terrible. I don't like it. So to me, it doesn't matter which reality I was born into. It still kind of sucks and still deserves a reset, or at least it's inevitable, I think.
Governing body controlling the individual, that is a bad thing.
Okay, so controlling the individual, I don't think so. I control individuals, my child, right? I have a child and I control him. Many of you are parents and you have individuals that you control, and that's your role until they're old enough to break free from that control and to prove that they can control themselves, which is sort of our, it's sort of, to me, that's one of the responsibilities of a parent is to raise the children up so that they can control themselves, so that they can take care of themselves, and so that they can govern themselves.
And that's exactly what that's getting at. Let me keep going. 9.
Okay.
Prize, truth, beauty, love, seek harmony with the infinite.
Okay, I'm going to skip through. He agrees with that one.
Now, again, I know people right now are going to interrupt and be like, hey, these stones do not say anything about reducing population.
Yep, I'm totally going to do that. Good call. So they don't say anything about reducing the population. Now think about this. These stones allegedly were planned out for like 20 years or something, a ridiculously long amount of time. Why would they make a mistake in what they actually were going to inscribe on the stone? Why wouldn't they say exactly what they meant? Whatever that message was that was worth 20 years of their time or however long it was, I believe they would, if they meant reduce the population, it seems reasonable that they would have said reduce the population, but they did not.
Okay, I understand that, but let me be clear. If there was a cataclysmic event, the last thing humanity would need would be a one world government, eugenics, population control.
Okay, time out. Let's talk about that. So if there was a cataclysm, I'm going to rephrase that, and I'm going to say when the cataclysm comes, when the apocalypse comes, because I fully believe, so far, take everything with a grain of salt, right? There's always exceptions. There's always anomalies. This is all my walk in life, my experience. I'm not trying to convince any of you and say you need to believe this. I'm just saying, here's my side of it. If you want to hear an alternative to it, you know what I mean? This is my perspective. And I'm not trying to change any of your minds. I'm just saying, if you would like to hear other ideas, here are mine, right?
Or Marxism. And
hold on, let me rewind it.
The last thing humanity would need would be a one world government.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so time out. Hold on. So after the apocalypse, yeah, I don't believe there's going to be a one world government, unless the energy that is put out in the post-apocalyptic world, because I believe there's going to be an influx of energy into our world, if that energy raises the vibrations and syncs us all together in some sort of form, which is where that whole telepathy thing comes into play, then that is a sort of a form of one world government. Everyone is of one accord, to put it in a biblical sense. Everyone is of the same mind. Everyone is thinking the same thing. Let's help. Hey, there's someone that needs help. Let's help them out, or whatever. And that's me. And maybe I'm just being hippie, super peace, super trying to believe in the goodness of people or whatever. But I also believe that history has shown that there is a golden age where everything's really good and everything's okay, for a while. And then it degrades over time until it hits the apocalypse again. And then it starts off a golden age and it's really good, right?
Population control.
Population control. I believe, I'm going to throw this out there. I have many beliefs about the post-apocalyptic world. One of them is that our lifespans are extended. And because our lifespans, like the conditions in our world, change to enable long lifespans, which our track record, historically speaking, shows. If you look into those types of things, you'll see that people had lived for hundreds of years. Sometimes some writings talk about people living for thousands of years. I believe we will return to a state or a condition where longer lifespans are enabled. They're turned on. Boom. Everyone lives a lot longer. Now, if that's the case, then by extension, it would also mean that the time it takes to reach childbearing age or puberty is also going to be pushed way out. It's not going to be 13 years old. That's ridiculous. That's a baby. Like, you probably reached puberty at like 250 or something crazy, like way far out there. You know what I mean? So Mother Nature, once again, has her own way of keeping the population low so that we can enjoy our time here, so that we don't reproduce like rabbits and then fill up the world with pressure or whatever it is that causes the apocalypse, and pop, it happens, right?
Or Marxism.
Hold on, let me check the chat real quick. All right, so I'm super sorry. I haven't really been in the chat. Let me jump in. We got Irregular Absolution, who says you can look through a hole on every stone every night of the year, and it lines up with Polaris, the North Star. That's a good point. So let me touch on that real quick. These megaliths, like so many others, they were designed to track the heavenly bodies, to track the sky, to track the luminaries, not just because, they're interested in an astronomy and look how pretty that star is, or look, you can see the North Pole. I mean, you can see the North Star through this hole. Isn't that cool? No, I don't think that it was anything like that. I believe that they were tracking the sky because the sky gives signs when it changes that the apocalypse is right around the corner. You can look for signs, and one of those signs is that the sky itself starts to change. The sun starts to change in how it looks and how it moves, the moon, the stars, planets, if you're into planets and stuff. So it makes sense that the Vatican, that the Mayans, that Edward Leedskalnin, that a whole host, the Egyptians, right, that they were building these things to keep track of the sky, not because they're interested in, learning more about what's way out there, but because they're tracking time as it happens on a reoccurring cyclical basis. All right, let me jump back out. Thanks for the comment and Regular Absolution. That's awesome. Let's see what else we got. The Northmen. Okay, Joshua wants me to check out the Northmen. I'll have to check that one out. All right, let's get back to Bright Insight and Jimmy.
And society as a whole controlling the individual. In the last 2 years should be a real wake-up call for people on what happens when you have a small number of people controlling the global population.
Yep, that's okay. I totally agree with that one. I would actually rephrase that. I would say the last few years is a good example of what happens when the population does not control themselves. Instead of saying when we allow others to control us or whatever, I say that we need to put the blame where the blame goes, which is on us, right? I mean, we've signed away all of our rights, all of our freedoms, all of our liberties under the guise of safety and protection, which we don't need. You know what I mean? We all live here. We're all here in this together.
And let me say something else. I don't know if you're paying attention to what's happening in the world involving a global famine.
Oh, okay. Okay, I want to talk about the global famine, okay? I was unaware that there is a global famine happening. I don't watch the news, so, if you want to slam on me for not watching the news, I get it. That's fine. I'm not in the loop, so I had no idea that there's a global famine happening, just like I had no idea that there was anything else globally as far as sicknesses and all that type of stuff. I had no idea until I heard about it, basically. I have to catch wind of these things. Let me tell you, let me read the definition of a famine. Let's do that first. Okay, a famine, it says, is defined as an extreme deprivation of food, where starvation, death, and destitution, and extremely critical levels of acute malnutrition are or will likely be evident. Okay, so basically there's a lack of food. I'm going to disagree if that's what that means, a lack of food in our world today. I have not seen a lack of food. I've seen a lack of strength in the community of humanity. I've seen a lack of common sense. Food comes from the ground. That's where all food comes from, the ground. So all we need to do, I look around, I could walk outside right now and see food. The problem is most people don't walk outside and they don't recognize food growing all around them because they are not taught. They're conditioned within their education at various levels that food only exists in grocery stores or at McDonald's. Food is everywhere. Food's all around. And here's something crazy. You can take a tiny little seed and you can make an infinite supply of food for your family, for generations to come. But I guess that's not what the mainstream is saying. So I'll have to research it and look into it myself. Where I am now, as I make this video, food is everywhere and food is abundant. It's called plants. And they grow up out of the ground. Some you can eat, some you can't. You have to actually research. You have to learn. You have to test them out and stuff. But if we were to invest some of our time and money and energy into figuring out how to make the earth give us food once more, like we used to, I think everyone would be fine. I think it'd be fine. Thank you. Regular Absolution says, looking around, I haven't seen a lack of food, just a lack of exercise. Yeah, there's... I'm probably going to touch on that one too.
Likes of which haven't been seen in our lifetimes and is so unnecessary in 2022. Look at the riots happening in the Netherlands, France, Spain, Italy, and...
Okay, so let me talk about that. I also did not know that there was so many, huge riots. I've caught wind that there's riots in different places. That's a sign of the apocalypse. Okay. Whenever we have all of this swarming, I just call it swarming. I don't call it riots, right? Because that's what it is. It's swarming, and swarming carries various forms. Okay. Sometimes it's just peaceful protests, or gatherings or whatever. Sometimes it's riots and stuff, but swarming is an indication, or an omen, is how I call that, an omen that the frequency and the vibration of the world is rising, that things are changing, that the energetic level of our world is changing, and humanity is reciprocating that change. So we can see what's going on with the world by looking at ourselves collectively. We're rioting, we're swarming, we're doing all these things. Animals are swarming. Animals are getting beached and stuff. Animals being thrown off track. Insects are swarming all over the place. It's crazy.
Elsewhere, Sri Lanka,
Yes. So I look at those riots and stuff and I see there's a big fat problem with society, with our moral standard, with all the people out there. It's insane. And I know that there's people out there that can relate. I know that there's people out there that are literally have anxiety about getting into their car and going shopping for groceries because they know they're going to run into some crazy, idiot out there. Somebody that's going to do something crazy. You know what I mean? So yeah, the world's kind of falling apart at this point in time. The good news is, because I always like to try to balance it out with some good news, is that as that energy, as that vibration grows and strengthens and intensifies, that intensifies all of the good vibes that are already existing. So all of the people, basically what I'm saying is I believe in something called plasma possession, okay? Which is the amplification of your spirit energy. Whatever you consider to be your spirit, if you believe in stuff like that, or your soul, or your essence, or whatever it is, I believe that it can be amplified. So if you're generally a good person and loving and kind and stuff, you would become more so. But most of the world, from my limited perspective so far on my walk, in this short amount of time, most of my experiences with the general population has not been super great, right? Anyways, I don't
Go
know.
look this up now, because this ties into my last few videos when I've been sounding the alarm saying, guys, something is afoot here. Something bad is happening.
Yes, something. See, I love that. Something is afoot. Something is definitely afoot. That's that. Even if we don't know, even if he doesn't know or I know what is afoot, it's good that we know something's going on. And he says something bad is happening. I totally agree. I believe that these are birth pangs that lead up to a pressure release to the apocalypse.
It's not an accident. People are making it happen, and it's completely preventable and unnecessary.
I totally agree with that too. And this is why it's a secret. This is why the plasma apocalypse, as I call it, is a secret. And this is why the secret societies revolve all of their, stories and their teachings and stuff all around this secret that the world's going to come to an end. And by extension, that means that there's more secrets that are related to that event as well, which I talk about here on my channel all the time. Hold on, let me rewind it.
Last few videos when I've been sounding the alarm saying, guys, something is afoot here.
Right.
Something bad is happening. It's not an accident. People are making it happen.
Oh, we can control it. That's what he was saying, right? I totally think we can control it. As a matter of fact, I believe that's why those Guidestones were erected and put there, is to help to control the cataclysm, to help to control our time here as it's given to us. That's how I see it.
And it's completely preventable and unnecessary.
Totally agree.
But where things stand right now, things are standing to get ugly. And
they are starting to get ugly. I agree with that too. Let's see. I see a comment by Heather Phillips who says a lot of the things that he says will happen and probably happened to Earth many times. And somehow JayDreamerZ knows what is going on, and so do a lot of us that are waking up. Good, sweet. I love that. It's a sweet comment.
Now again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I don't want to be the doomsday guy, but someone's got to say it.
I'll be the doomsday guy. I will. Ooh, choose me. I'll totally be the doomsday guy. Why? Because that's like talking about life without talking about death. You know what I mean? Which we don't do at all. That's one of the first things that children should be taught in schools is like, hey, one day you'll die. They should probably know that. I don't know. That's just me. You know what I mean? But we shy away from it. We pretend in our minds, we've been conditioned to think that, death is normal and that living less than 100 years is average and it's normal and that's the way it's always been. And I totally disagree. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. I believe we live in an extreme time where we're all shrinking down, getting smaller, and our lifespans are shrinking as well. And I don't like that. I don't want to die. I don't want to die prematurely. I'm 42 right now and I don't feel old. I don't feel like in 10 years or 20 years that I should be old. There's something wrong there. My spirit is alive. And I've got so much to do, so much to see. So, I don't know.
Because not enough people are. And this world is what we make of it. And it's only going to be through waking up and informing enough people to what's going on to have any effect and change whatsoever.
I believe that informing people, it can definitely have a change. It can definitely have an effect on others. But ultimately, I believe no matter how much information you have, I believe that these beliefs and this faith that people have, the essence of it is, what do you do about it? Or are you doing anything about it? You know what I mean? Like, oh, there's not enough food in the world. Did you plant any? No. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do something about what you believe in. And I'm just saying that to myself and everybody really, if you're open to that.
So look up those food shortages where they're shutting down farmers and saying you can't plant, and it has to do with fertilizer and all this stuff. And
right. Okay, so I'm gonna skip that.
And a food shortage, which is only going to escalate from here on out.
Food shortage, got it.
I said it before that these things weren't an accident. You see why? Because you're stopping people from farming.
Okay, so I totally believe that type of stuff is happening, but like I said, I know people are going to have the opposite opinion, and they'll be like, well, I would love to farm, I would love to plant my own food or whatever, but here's the reason and here's the reason. I'm just saying it's possible, right? Try it. Try planting your own food. Like, grow some food. And learn how to plant food. Shoot, I tried to plant a garden in my backyard like a year or two ago. almost nothing grew because I didn't learn how to plant food. I thought you just toss a seed in the ground and boom, wait a few weeks and you got food. That's definitely not how it works. But it's possible.
They're culling animals and everything else. So now let me just close this up. Because I want to move on.
Okay, I'm going to skip that part a little bit.
Anyone who's trying to defend these stones, I think you guys need to dig into this, where they came from.
Yes. Okay. So what he's saying now is that there's people, and this is interesting too. I almost feel like he's been watching my channel. I mean, I feel like that about a lot of things, like Fortnite and some movie producers and stuff. Sometimes I feel like they watch my channel. But I don't want to even, take credit for someone else just having feelings or whatever. Let me rewind. What do you say?
Post-apocalypse, right?
Right.
Cataclysm? No, that's not good. And to anyone who's trying to defend these stones, I think you guys need to dig into.
Oh, that's right. So now he's saying if you want to defend the stones, which I don't think there's anything to defend. It's just stones. It's just rock. So I can't defend a rock. I can defend a person. I don't know. All I'm saying is that my response is that he's saying that if you defend these stones, meaning that you don't see it the way that they do, whoever they are, right? The people, basically it's the people who are very extreme and say the Illuminati's behind it and they want to kill you all. Okay. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to kill all of your own slaves and all of the things that you deem to be valuable. That's never worked itself out in my mind. If you believe it, that's fine. Believe whatever you'd like to. I don't see a lot of evidence or rationale for killing most of the people that own us and use us for their labor and for, all the different, to give them power, basically. But he's saying, look into who erected the stones. And now he's going to get into the secret society aspect of it and kind of make the point that just because they're secret, they're evil. So let's see.
That's where they came from. He said they were created by R.C. Christian. Well, look into who that really is. Google R.C. Christian.
Okay, I'll just save you the time. R.C. Christian is allegedly the name of the person who founded Rosicrucianism. I believe it's still just a pseudonym, right? Just like anybody can take on a nickname, right? I believe that person took on that nickname. I believe it's always been a pseudonym. R.C. Christian stands for Rosicrucian. Now, let's do some further study on that. Why are they called Rosicrucians? It means rosy cross, okay? There is a rosy or pinkish, magenta, red spectrum, whatever you want to call it, colored cross symbol that is significant to our history. It's tied into the plasma apocalypse, essentially. There are plasma formations that are created whenever the sky opens up and the plasma sphere around our world seeks to enter the Sandman, which I should do. I'll probably do a video on the Sandman. But that plasma comes in and it seeks to ground itself. So that's why they're called those of the rosy cross. So it's the all-seeing eye, the spiral, the broken cross, the crucifix of Jesus. All of these things are seen in the sky, and by word of mouth and a really long version of the telephone game, we lost the original meaning of these descriptions of events that have happened that have been seen and experienced by everyone worldwide. It's just that we all tell that story in our own flavor.
We'll see that is the founder, or a pseudonym, because it's declared as a pseudonym, so not even...
I'm going to skip forward a bit.
If this era, and no.
Wait, what? No.
Dark-sided secret society.
Oh, okay, dark-sided. So he sometimes uses that description, dark-sided, right? There's a light side, there's a dark side. Now, interestingly enough, those who are on the dark side don't call themselves dark-sided or we're the dark ones, or, sometimes they might. But in their mind, they think they're the light side, right? Lucifer, the light bringer, right? Like, in their minds, they believe that they are doing good, right? And I'm not making an excuse for evil. I'm just saying that evil doesn't believe that it is evil. Evil sees the other side as evil, just like good sees the other side as evil. You know what I mean? I hope that made sense. Evil sees the other side as evil. Yeah, because they believe that they are good. That's my whole point. And that applies to everything. Religions, right? I could ask every Christian that watches my channel, do you believe that Christians are good people in general? And in general, I would hope, they'll probably all say like, yeah, we strive to do the best and live by the laws and this and that. But when I ask a Muslim the same thing, they'll respond similarly because they all have their good intentions in mind. Unfortunately, good intentions do not equate to the best outcomes.
As the movement to proceed forward in a new global era. And no.
Okay, so it's kind of hard to respond when people kind of just say like, oh, no, forget it or whatever. But that's fine. It's his video. He could talk however he wants to. I'm just saying that to me, it's very simple. Just because there are groups out there that have secrets that many of you don't know about that I try to share with you on a weekly basis, does not mean that they're malevolent. Does not mean that they're bad or evil. Do they have subsections within those groups that are bad and believe in some crazy, wild, extreme things? Yes. So does all of your religions. So does all of your politics. So does every aspect in life. It would not make reasonable sense to myself to just deem an entire group all evil because I've caught wind of some people in that group doing nefarious things. You know what I mean?
No. And again, like I said, anything done in secrecy, especially that involves all of humanity, is not benign.
So he's just going back. We've already covered this at the beginning. This is what he led with, is if there's groups that have secrets, that somehow, it sounds to me like he's saying that somehow equates to them being nefarious and malevolent, which means evil and immoral. I don't think that's fair.
This was good and benign and nothing to worry about. There would be no need for secrecy. It'd be a global conversation and everything would be fine.
Like I said, with my metaphor about the family reunion and the parents go off and they have a secret meeting or whatever. I mean, I'm going to have secret meetings here on my channel. I'm going to have members only videos where I talk about like, hey, here's how I'd like my channel to be moderated and here's what you can expect or whatever. And just because I don't share that with the rest of the world doesn't mean that I'm plotting something or whatnot. You know what I mean? So I'm also not making excuse for the evil that exists. Okay. And I say evil, and I'm using that term in a polarizing way because I myself live within polarity at times, usually often. If I'm being honest.
Things behind other people's backs, that's when you know something's up.
I don't agree. If something's done behind your back, that doesn't, well, it could mean that something's up, but just because something's up, which is east, by the way, just because something's up doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean it's out to get you. You know what I mean? Are there things that are out to get you? Yes. I talk about monsters as a reality on my channel quite often. You know what I mean? So yeah, I believe that there are bad things out there or things that don't have your best interest at heart, which is bad or evil, basically.
We've been fed there are so many lies in this world, you can make your head spin.
And he's pissed. And I get that. I'm pissed too. I don't like the lies. I don't like all that stuff. And I understand where he's coming from when he says he wants to just know. Whatever it is, I just want to know it, right? But here is a possible reality for all of us. There are realities and truths out there that you don't want to know. Believe me, like you don't want to just all of a sudden be injected into your mind all of the truth about everything everywhere. That would explode people's minds worldwide. Some people, could they handle it? I think it's possible. But there's a lot of stuff that you really don't want to know. Trust me. Actually, let me personalize it. There's a lot of stuff I don't want to know, okay? I don't want to know how to control my heartbeat. Like, I have no idea what's going on and how that even happens. I don't want that responsibility. I'm glad that my heart is on autopilot. Example that I just thought of.
And how are things going? Things are as crazier than ever, and it seems to be escalating. So I would argue that the last thing we need is any more secrecy, and what we need is the truth.
I love that. What we need is the truth. I like that. However, truth, I could ask, just like I could ask different people about their definition of God, I could also ask people about their definition of truth. And that's kind of subjective, it depends on the subject that you're asking. But yeah, I'm a truth seeker. I'm all about the truth. I'm one of those people that's a sponge for knowledge. I want to absorb it. And I'm also a philosopher. philosophy in our day and age is all but dead, almost dead, basically. It's like we're not allowed to wonder anymore. We're not allowed to come up with our own theories and ideas without being labeled weirdos and wackos and a danger to the public. You know what I mean?
So with that said, you should ask yourselves why they decided to bulldoze this site so quick without enough time to do a thorough forensic investigation.
Good question. So here's my ideas on that, just off the top of the head. If there was a secret society that built it, right, which is kind of seems like, then why would the government, which is the people that bulldozed it, I think, why would they do that? It kind of works against itself. So maybe that's evidence, possibly, for opposing factions within secret societies. You know what I mean? Possibly. I mean, it could be all kinds of things, and it could be something not even that intricate. It could just be a really simple answer. But if we're going to speculate, I'm going to speculate and play the devil's advocate on the other side as well.
We need to find out what's in the time capsule, and we need to find out who created this site originally.
He wants to find out what's in the time capsule. I encourage him to go find out. Like, go out there, go find out what's in the time capsule, come back and let me know. I don't have that desire. Otherwise, I would just go do it. But that's me. I don't want to see it that bad that I'm going to actually go out and dig it up and find out for myself, because I have other things to do. I have pressing business in my own personal life.
Because if there's nothing bad, then this is harmless.
No. See, that's the thing. A lot of people say this, like, well, if there's nothing bad, then you could just tell me everything, right? No, I don't. I'm not the kind of person so far, right, today, that believes that people deserve to just know everything, right? Let me give you an example, right? I use this example quite often. Door-to-door religious people that believe that they have the ultimate knowledge about everything that is pure and good in the world, and they insist on telling you what that knowledge is. I believe that the elect of the world, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, I believe that they have their own guidelines that they live by as well. One of those being that we are not, to force information upon other people, that we're simply to just open the door. They have to walk through it. It is not for me. Let's say I knew everything, right? Let's just say I know everything. Not that I'm God, but just that I just happen to know everything, right? Just to make up, just to make a point. If I knew everything, it would not benefit me to go around and just tell everyone all of the everything that I know. You know what I mean? It's a treasure, and it's a treasure hunt, and it's an Easter egg hunt. And these people, all of us, we have to walk our path, right? If somebody gives us all of the adventure and all of the answers and everything ahead of time, we'll never take a step. We'll never go exploring. We'll never go adventuring or whatever if we're just spoon-fed all of the answers or whatever. So, I don't know.
Big deal. Just tell us the truth and I'll...
Just tell us the truth, right? See, I don't know. To me, I don't know. First of all, I don't think that the Georgia Guidestones are I don't believe that insinuates that anyone is not telling us the truth. I believe that's probably their truth that they inscribed on those stones, right? So just because we don't know who built it or why they built it or whatever, it does not mean that they're automatically not telling us the truth. But a lot of people are like, just tell us. And they deserve to know because they want to know. And that's kind of what it boils down to. I don't know. I get that. I do. I understand. I'm super curious myself. Sometimes I'm frustrated because I don't know something and I want to, but that just inspires me to search it out.
All will be well, right? My name's Jimmy Corsetti. My channel is called Bright Insight.
Right on. All right, sweet. Well, hey, thank you, Jimmy. He's not here. He does not approve of this message. I have not reached out to him to talk to him. This has just been a response video. And the reason that I chose his video is because it was very well done and accurately reflects the mainstream conspiracy theory kind of population that I encounter or have encountered for most of my life. There's mainstream everything. There's mainstream religion, mainstream politics, mainstream conspiracies and conspiracy theories and stuff. You know what I mean? Just because people are truth seekers does not mean that they're automatically united and agree on everything. Quite often, there's a lot of arguments and stuff. I want to bring it all back to what I believe is the core of truth seeking for me personally. And for me, it is unity being love. It's seeing other people as yourself, as an extension of yourself. Not just other people, but everything. Seeing everything as an extension of ourselves changes the way that we live. All right, so the video portion is over. So I'm going to take this down now. I'm going to take the video part down. Let's see, is this it? Is that it? Nope. Is this it? No. Dang, where is it? Where did I put that thing? Oh, here it is. Okay, cool. All right, so wait. Excuse me. Let me jump in the chat. I'm briefly going to jump into the chat because I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to do another video where only the moderators on my channel and members are going to be allowed in the chat because it's for them. It's going to be to discuss, you know, like certain reasons why I disabled my comments temporarily, and trying to clean house and just keep it, you know, keep everything good. Cause I know there's trolls out there. I know it's all bad or whatever. So I need to have a chat with the mods and the members after this video. And we'll talk about, you know, like expectations for my channel and stuff. But for right now, let me jump into the actual chat. We got Joshua 440 who says, oh, he's talking to somebody else. We got Aaliyah who says, Jay, I love the part you said about seeing others as an extension of ourselves. Thank you. Thank you. And I also want to say this, right? I believe in the law of the land. I believe that you are free to do whatever you want to do. And so is everybody else. They're free to react to whatever you do. At least that's how I see it. So if people disagree with me, I support that they have the ability to disagree. I don't support hatred. I don't support negativity and just insults and trolling and all that kind of stuff. I don't support that. I mean, I support that you have the freedom to do that, but man, I don't know. Maybe that's something I'm working on as far as living in polarity within my life, is learning how to brush things off and stuff. But we'll talk about that in the next video. Let's see, law of polarity. Okay, I see you guys. Let's go ahead and just wrap this video up. I feel that was short and sweet. I want to give a shout out to Bright Insight, to his channel. His name's Jimmy. I'm subscribed to him. I love his work. You know, hopefully I'll meet him one day and we could have a chat or whatever. He's been to a lot of sweet places. He's got a cool channel. And this video is by no means me, you know, trying to say anything bad about him or his channel. I just want to put that out there. And hopefully I don't get a copyright strike. Hopefully it's all good because, you know, should be. I don't know. You never know. But anyway, let's take a quick break and we'll be back soon. Thanks for watching. I'm JayDreamerZ. Check out my website. It's awesome. If you want to leave me a comment, you want to talk to me personally, I have like a wall chat where you can just, you could post pictures. You could type me a message or other people messages or whatever. My website's sweet. And I've got a lot of stuff in the works. Please do check out my website or my book about the plasma apocalypse. And please remember, when it comes to these Guidestones, I'm coming from the perspective that they are for people who have survived the plasma apocalypse or an apocalyptic event, if that's how you like to see it. Right on. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
So hard to face.